Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and welcome to Show and Tell number 257. So, the day you're seeing this is going to be February 14th, 2025. Happy early Valentine's Day, you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful, fantastic day. As you can tell from the thumbnail, I have been making a lot of progress when it comes to some sock knitting, and I may have done something a little silly. So, the last week here has been calm, normal, busy, lots of stuff going on, like just like normal life stuff going on and everything, but calm and normal, which is good. It is very good to have calm and normal. So we are back to 37 degrees. So last week up until Sunday, this last week, it's been between 74 and 81 degrees. And today it is back to 37, and it is raining and moopy and yucky and just generally very unpleasant outside. So luckily I don't have anywhere I have to be today. I get to stay bundled up and snug as a bug in a rug where I am. I am filming on Tuesday once again, as Thursday we have early Valentine's Day plans. I'll tell you about them next week. But yeah, I'm very excited. So I got my pink cowl on. I am not sure what pattern this is, and this is a long since discontinued yarn from Hobby Lobby, but I did kind of dress for the occasion. But we do have a lot of stuff to talk about as far as like what's going on. So Tuesday's video, the day I'm filming this, we will have an unboxing for my Eat Sleep Knit order, and we'll have talked about that. I haven't filmed it yet, so we will have talked about that on Tuesday. On Saturday, we will have the mid-month check-in for the make-along theme for the month of February, which is our languishing WIPs and UFOs, getting those finished or frogged and out of sight, out of mind. So very excited. I will just start, we'll kind of start there. So last week, I finished my muscle burr hat, which I was very excited about. This week, I finished my meadow stripe socks. So I think when y'all saw these last, they were down here. I had just started reworking on these. So we finished up the leg, did the cuff. So I did these a little bit differently than I do most of my socks. I generally prefer shorter socks because I have the unfortunate body attribute of having ginormous calves. My calves and my forearms are much larger than my feet and hands. So I generally cut my socks fairly short, but I really wanted something that was a little bit longer, that didn't slouch as much and would tuck under my leggings better. I do tend to wear a lot of leggings as a general rule, just because I like flexibility and comfort in my clothing, and I'm not going to apologize for it. So these easily could be worn inside or outside of my leggings, depending on what shoes I am wearing, but I did go a little bit longer. So we have from the heel to the cuff about 2 inches of just stockinette stitch. And I did I think I cut it at 24 inches so I could have a solid bind off here of rib stitches. So these are now complete. I just need to weave in the ends on these. I'm pretty excited. I like the way they look. And I was able to more or less match up the stripes by alternating the tension, because it was only off this much, because I did not know how close these were to being matched up. So I did play with the tension just a little bit to get my stripes to more or less match up. So I have like almost perfect heels. Love it. So those are an FO. We have another one we will discuss at the end of this video. If you follow me on Instagram, you will already know what it is. If you're a member of our Facebook group, you will already know what it is. And Ravelry, I don't think I shared it yet. So I am very excited to share with you guys. But we'll get there. Speaking of the year of mouths, the other pair of socks that I had left over from last year were my Hermione everyday socks, using the Atomic Turquoise from Hypnotic Yarn. This is a stroll sock yarn. I cannot remember the name. I think it's not pucker. It's like ultraviolet, I think. Because pucker's more pink pink. This is more purple pink. But last week, or the last time y'all saw these were right here. So I had just finished the cuff and done the first row of the pattern. So once again, I'm going to do the same thing where I want a slightly longer leg and a slightly longer cuff than I normally do. I think I'm going to do probably 10 to 15 more rows before I start the cuff on these. So right now, these are my Bible study socks. They, especially once I hit that rib stitch, will definitely stay in the kitchen. Everything's in my Tea Dollars mini maker bags. This is my soggy spring cats. Next, my January self-striping socks. So I set the goal this year of doing 12, not necessarily a month, one a month, self-striping socks. So these are the ones that I cast on in January. These are the January socks. These are using very, very, very deep stash. This is a Joanne Sensations yarn. It's the Bamboo U pattern. And I can't remember the colorway. These are not, I'm still trying to get the tension right where instead of being one whole row off, we're now like half a row off. So I don't think I'm going to get these to perfectly match by the time I cast them off, but they're close enough to where it's not massively problematic. I can probably make up the difference by shifting my cast off just a little bit down the lane there. But last week I was right here. Since we saw each other last, I did the heels. So we have heels, and I have started working up the leg just a little bit. So this is how far I've gotten on the leg because I was just casting on the heel. I have not tried these back on, so I'm not sure if these still feel too loose in the foot or not. We will see as I get a little bit further up the leg. I find that's a better way to really judge. I think once I get them pulled up, a lot of times with my socks, they tend to feel tighter than expected once I can like actually pull them up properly and they'll sit where they're naturally going to sit. But these could just be like a 8.5 wides instead of an 8 wide. Because I do have me a wide foot. I also have extremely high arches. So next, I had gone ahead and cast on the toes for my February self-striping socks. This is what I did Sunday evening. I think we're watching the Texas ladies basketball game. Lady Gamecocks in Texas. Did not go in our favor. Our first SEC loss in like 90-something games. It was a rough game. But this is what I cast on. And this is another deep stash. This is a Regia sock yarn. It is part of the design line, but I'm pretty sure. So I'm counting, I actually had to make note of what I'm going to count as deep stash. Anything that was in my stash when I moved to Charlotte, we're going to call deep stash. So this does qualify as deep stash. I am actually not sure when I got it. So I was actually kind of surprised when I found it in my stash when I was reorging everything. So this one is in my purple carrots and peas bag from Tea Doddles. And lastly, as y'all saw it on the thumbnail, there are 4 pairs of socks I have going. These are kind of a gag gift. So these are for a friend of ours who refuses to wear socks even when it's snowing outside most days. So I'm making him a pair of socks. Does he own socks? Yes. Is this to be silly? Yes. These are Mary Maxim Simply Soft or Simply Sock in the shade, which is 001. And this is Mary Maxim Silly Sock in the colorway Lime. So the goal was to make something that is absurd but wearable. This is a guy who has no problem whatsoever wearing a pink seersucker suit. So we wanted something wearable but absurd. So that is the yarn that I pulled for his socks. I had a little bit of a caking party yesterday morning. I caked up this yarn and got these cast on. So this was cast on yesterday morning. I caked up my Witch Please and the mossy green yarnables that I had gotten. I also caked up some hawthorn fingering for a pair of socks for Troy. So I had a little bit of a caking party. I didn't have anything that I was going to frog yesterday, but I did at least get some caking done. So I have things lined up and ready to go here in the near future. So silly socks and the compass bag for this set. This is for a different video. I did meet somebody. I'm going to drop her here in the socials. Her name is Kayla Brooks. And she is Carolina Little Stitches. So if you are interested in sewing, she does design a lot of her own patterns. She is here local to me. So if you are in the area and are looking to take sewing lessons, that would be somebody wonderful to call. I actually ran into her at the post office the other day, and she actually gave me some of her tags, which are really, really cool. She also sublimated some really cool fabric that I was admiring in her car. So anyway, I did want to shout her out. I haven't had a chance to go look through all of her patterns yet, but she did show me some of the step-by-step designs that she has done for her little keychain backpack pattern. And they are so detailed, like a novice sewer could easily follow these design steps. So I do have to admire that is an extreme talent I will never have, but I definitely appreciate good, well-designed patterns. So she definitely has my admiration on that front. So I finished my Awakening shawl. It is quite the work. Before we start playing with that, I did have some leftover yarn. I did not mark the amount of this, but this is what I had left over. I did cut it short. I cut it after the bud stitches on section 6. So I did not complete section 6 or section 7. Like I said, I just didn't have a yarn that was right, but it ended up being perfect. That was the perfect place to cut it. This is Give Me Color. I had 43 grams of this left over, and this is the second color I used. I had 46 grams left over of the Not Lumberjack Flannel, which was the third color I used. And I had 46 grams of This Is Love left over, which is the first color. So 1, 2, 3. So you really only need a little bit more than half a hank to do the first 3 sections, but you do need a lot of your solid. I mean, this is like maybe 10 grams. This will probably be dropped into my shawl with all my fingering weight scraps. But yeah, like that's all I had left of the first hank. I probably would have had to go into the second hank had I completed it, because I think there's 3 more rows of section 6 that I did not complete. So I would have needed just that little bit more. And she does say that in the pattern, like that is, in the information about the Awakening shawl, that is clearly listed that you will probably need a second skein of your solid color, because it uses just that ever so much more than what comes in a single hank. So I have not woven in the ends, but we are fully blocked. It is spectacular. It is beautiful, and I may be in love with it. So hold on just one second. So of course, as soon as I paused the video, Pippin decided to come up here. So if I seem like I'm dancing around even more than usual over here, and you hear little mews, that would be why. Somebody has woken up from his afternoon nap already. It's only like 11. I don't know why he's awake already. And now he's going to claw the perch. So anyway, of course, now I lost my hold on it. Here she is. So you can much more clearly see that bottom section is flowers. You can see what I mean by the wheat staff, those oblong shapes in that center section. And I told y'all from the beginning, it's just so hard to see the pattern here. Pippin, please move. You're going to get stepped on. But now you can clearly see where we have those little shells here, just kind of randomly. They're not really random. At the end of this, I will have the video that I post on Instagram that shows it pinned out. You can actually see that they're evenly spaced across each row, but you very clearly have those beautiful shells mixed in with that beautiful fillet work. So absolutely wonderful pattern. I do love it. I really wish I'd been able to use that 5th hank of yarn, partially because I do just really enjoy showcasing my ALC yarns. All of these were dyed by Nikki over at ALC. But once again, this is love, feeling glammy, and not lumberjack flannel. And let's get cozy is the teal color in there. And, you know, it's one of those I always question. I mean, even I question like putting together my colors, but once I saw this all laid out, I was like, yeah, I'm really glad I did it that way. Part of me wanted to use one of the purples and alternate I've got 2 different purples from her that are kind of plummy to royal color. And I almost used those as the solids, but I'm really happy with having used the teal because I think it really breaks up the beginning and really brings the depth through the bottom of the shawl. But I do plan on wearing this Thursday night for our Valentine's date. I am very excited about it. I'm excited about our date, and I'm excited about being able to wear my shawl. I think that's very appropriate for Valentine's Day. And I'm still really happy that even though it didn't work out to use all 5 colors, that I went in the color order that I did, especially putting So This Is Love up at the top there. Because of course it's just so flattering. So before I sign off here, I don't normally do a whole lot of pattern reviews. I will say there's a lot going on in this pattern. It is so easy to follow this pattern, but I did take a highlighter and highlight the repeat sections on this. And because I mean, like there are certain things like you repeat 80 times and you just want to be able to make sure you're not losing your place. I only had to frog 1 complete row back in the entire process of doing this. And I will attribute a huge part of that to having highlighted the repeats. So the way the repeats are written in this pattern, you might have multiple lines and they will be in parentheses and then there'll be a star. And at the end, it will say repeat between the parentheses X number of times to the star once, which sets you up for the end of the row. Pippin, please stop. What I did for each, there are sections that will be separated by commas. I highlighted each comma section. And that really did help me breaking up that and making it to where I could see it more clearly did definitely help me to read the pattern easier and made the process a lot easier. The first page I didn't do that with. And then like if you saw me flipping through my pattern a couple weeks ago, you will have noticed that I had blue highlighter all over the place on there. And that's what that is. So it did help significantly in this case to highlight those sections, not because each row is hard to understand. It's very, very easy to follow. It's because it's a lot in the repeat sometimes. And I really wanted to make sure I could see those at a glance. And I was using a Post-it note or my pen to kind of block off my view. Because, I mean, some of these rows, the directions are like this long. It is a very intimidating pattern when you just look at it. I would recommend, if you want to try this and you are in that beginner to intermediate zone, go for it. There are no specialty stitches in here that you don't know. Everything is very clearly written out as far as how to do this. She also has, if you can read crochet graphs very well, she has beautiful graph diagrams in the pattern. I did have to refer to those a couple of times just to make sure I was understanding a direction. It wasn't a pattern with the way it was written. I just wanted to make sure I understood what I was doing, where I was doing it. But yeah, it's a great pattern. It is very easy to follow as long as you don't let yourself get intimidated. And I do like my highlighter trick for reading patterns. I do that a lot when there is a repeat, a long repeat of stitches. It always helps me to just be able to, at a glance, make sure I'm following along what I'm supposed to be doing instead of having to draconian line by line it. So the pattern's very well written. It is intimidating. So take your time, trust the directions on this. They're not going to lead you wrong. I did, like I said, end at the end of section 6 with the bud stitches. So I don't have a perfectly round edge. I did do these into little peaks to create a ripple effect to the edge of the bottom here. Hold this back up. So that's the bottom of mine. The as written, it is a arc. It is not a ripple. But if you think you don't have that 4th color change yarn, or you don't think you're going to have enough of the solid yarn to finish it, I would recommend stopping where I did. It is a perfect place to stop. And you're blocking the top edge straight, and you've got these beautiful little ripples that you can create with that last row of bud stitches. So all in all, I am calling this a win, other than the fact it took me longer than the month of January to get it finished. So the goal had been to finish this. This was part of my use the new yarn, use the good yarn. This is my good yarn. These are my ALCs. I love them. I want to collect them all and just look at them and pair them. But we get yarn to use it, not to just look at it. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful, fantastic day. Definitely come back on Saturday and check out all of the wonderful finished UFOs and frogged UFOs and languishing WIPs that we are working our way through, clearing our mental space and clearing our physical space. So I love you guys. I look forward to seeing you real soon. Please take care of yourselves. Happy Valentine's Day. Bye, guys.